fire that we jumped above Glenwood Springs was something like that. It was very, very steep, and it was really easy to, you had to be very careful. One side of it was this way, and it went right down to the river, Colorado River, and Glenwood Springs was there. And it ran down like this, and then it went down this way into a bowl, a very thick brush, and the fire had gotten down both sides of that. So you had to be really careful. Things rolling down. You don't want fire below you. So that was difficult. And then just cutting a line down into that brush to try to go up and put a line around it that way. It was, I was in charge of the fire. And so you always feel a lot more responsibility when you're the one in charge of it, obviously. But I was always wanted to maintain that they had some safety zones. As a matter of fact, when I first asked, we first got there, and the fire was beginning to boil up, and so I asked one group where their safety zone was, and they said the Pizza Hut in Glenwood Springs, because you could see the Pizza Hut, from the top of a mountain where we were at, and that was their safety zone. But of course they were joking because they never would have made the Pizza Hut. But they were well-experienced guys. I didn't worry about it, but you still do because you're separated from each other, and you know how things can change really, really rapidly. You like to think that something bad would never happen to you, but if you look back on all the fires you were on, you can easily remember that if something had changed drastically, you could have really been in a lot of trouble. It just didn't, and you were okay. So that was a tricky fire. Like it took us about 3 or 4 days to really finally, with a lot of retardant too. Because each day when the sun hit it, it would pop up again. And that was, I got some hotshot crews in there but it was the same thing. You want to make sure they were safe. Once they're down in that bowl, and this was, like I say, a couple of drainages away from South Canyon. It was, steep country and real brushy. So that was one that stands out. Probably one of my last fires. So it was, stands out too. But it had a lot of those aspects of it. There was a fire in Oregon that we jumped on top of a ridge, and it was way down in the bottom of this drainage. It was on the Siskiyous, Illinois Valley, which is a very steep, very brushy country, and the brush was way over your head. And we essentially were walking underneath it, crawling underneath it to get down to the fire. And you think, boy, we're walking down to the fire through this brush that's thick, we have to crawl through it. And it's at the bottom of this drainage. It could easily come up. We'd have nowhere to go. Fortunately, it didn't. It was still dark. We got there early in the morning, and the sun wouldn't have been on it for hours. And it was way down, and so it was pretty damp and kind of humid down there, and it didn't go anywhere. And we went down and were able to kind of put a line around it. Got some other jumpers that came in to come in the top and come down from Redmond. But that could have gone badly if it had been some different circumstances. Because we really couldn't jump down into that drainage. It was so steep down, you couldn't really see. So we went up on top. But it could have